Guess who's here? THEAR is here. Welcome everyone. Today we're talking about the Saints Row Reboot. When people found out that a new Saints Row trailer had dropped, this was their initial reaction. But after watching the trailer, this was most people's reaction.
I'm about to fucking cry.
Now, what I'm about to say is controversial, and some people may even consider it as high treason, and I understand if you do. But Saints Row, the reboot, genuinely looks good.
You serious?
I know a lot of you want me hanged by the balls from a Ferris wheel for saying that, but let me explain why I actually like the new Saints Row. But before we do that, sorry, I know I was like, oh, let's explain why I actually like it, and then I was like, actually before I do, but there's something I've got to address, and that is the elephant in the room, which is Saints Row Reboot is not a gangster game. And the second elephant in the room, there's two elephants in this room apparently, is the fact that there's no main characters from the original series. I'm somewhat disappointed by this, but I'm not surprised by this. I'm not surprised by the fact that Saints Row is not a gangster game and features no familiar characters. I somewhat expected this, seeing as it is a reboot. So when it actually got announced that Saints Row is going to be a reboot, this was always something in the back of my mind as a possibility that it could be a complete reset. So when it turned out not to be a gangster game and it wasn't going to have familiar characters, I wasn't that surprised. Does it suck harder than a white girl who says I've never done this before? Yes, of course. I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes. Oh god, why am I laughing at my own jokes? But it is what it is. That's the I need to compose myself. The best way to describe the Saints Row reboot is like if someone redecorated your room full of Fornite merch. Yeah, it's going to suck because 1, it's got changes nobody asked for, 2, you don't like the look of it, and 3, you're stuck with it. So I get why people are upset, but there's going to be people who actually like the changes, and I'm one of the very few people who do. The rest are too scared to come out and admit it. It's kind of like being gay in the 1950s. It's suicidal to come out and you're only going to get hate for it, so why bother? But I'm willing to be the brave one here and come out and say I like the new Saints Row, and here's why. The first thing I really like about the game is the setting. It's new. Finally, we've got something different. No more Steelport. I hate that map. I'm sorry for the Steelport lovers out there, but I hate this map. I don't like it at all. It was insanely depressing. Even on the sunniest and brightest of days, this map made me want to kill myself. I do not like this map at all. So the fact that we've got something completely different and a completely new location is dope. Yeah, Stillwater's great, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing map, but we've been there. So the fact that we're going somewhere completely new is great. It's like going on holiday. Yeah, you can go to Spain, you can go to Tenerife 5 times, and it's still great on the 5th time. But by the 6th time, you're kind of like, I want to go somewhere different. That's the way I see it. So the fact that we are going somewhere different, I really like. And I really like the setting of this old looking rundown western city. It kind of gives me Las Vegas vibes if it was filled with stingy Jews where gambling never took off and it just never became popular. I really like this aesthetic of the game, and it plays on my heartstrings because that's one of my favorite aesthetics of all time, is the rundown look, like something that used to be busting.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Is that the right word? Bustling, I think that's the right word. And now it's just completely run down. I need to compose myself, holy hell. But now it's completely run down and no one even bats an eye at it anymore. I really like that aesthetic, so it just plays on my heartstrings. The next thing I really like is the gangs. They seem unique. Yeah, you've got your stereotypical evil corporation gang called the Marshall, run by Marshall himself, who looks like Mr. Clean's granddad. But then you've got the 2 other gangs, which are Los Pantaneros, I think that's how you say it, who favor melee attacks with big hammers. I'm not sure whether they're against the Second Amendment or they just haven't figured out that guns are a thing yet, but this is a unique gang and it doesn't fit the stereotypical gun blasting gang you would find in the previous Saints Row games. And the final gang we get to see is the Idols, who look like a bunch of TikTok influencers. This gang rides around on bikes with TV screens as helmets. I don't know why, but they do. It's a cool looking gang, and it gives me, for some reason, the Purge election vibes, where they have the LED mask and the LED car. It gives me that sort of vibe. I don't know where I'm getting this vibe from, but that's the vibe I'm getting. And one thing I want to see is this gang at night, because I think it'd be so cool to see this gang pull up on bikes and they've got the LED like head helmets on at night. I think that would be scary. Imagine a gang with LED mask on, helmets on, pulling up on you at night on bikes. That would be terrifying. So I'm interested to see how this gang looks at night. I think they'd be cool. So I like these gangs because they're all different from each other and all work in different ways and have their own unique looks, and they don't feel like your stereotypical Saints Row gang, which I get why most people are upset by this, but that's actually one of the main reasons I like these gangs. But I do get the criticism though, right? It's not a Saints Row game. It's not. It doesn't look like one, doesn't sound like one, and it doesn't feature anything that made the Saints Row series what it is. And I get that you won't be able to see Pothead Shaundi in all her 4K glory, but that's to be expected, seeing as it is a reboot. That's the whole point. So when people say it doesn't have this and it doesn't have that and it's not gangster and it doesn't have familiar characters, yes, that's because it's a reboot. It's not meant to have any of those things. It's a completely different series now. It's a completely different game, and it's a completely different story, and it's going down a completely different path. The way I see the reaction to this trailer is kind of similar to the 7 stages of grief. You know, you got denial at first, you don't want to accept it, then you've got the anger because what has happened, and then you've got the depression because now you're sad of what has happened, and then there's a bargaining, the reasoning state, and then you've got the acceptance. I just went straight to acceptance. I just went, yeah, okay, this is the way it is, okay, let's see how it is, you know. And I think people need to come to acceptance. I think people need to understand that Saints Row, the reboot, is nothing like the original Saints Row. And once we get that in our heads, and once we can accept that, we can give it a chance. We can actually say, well, let's see how this game actually is. Once we get in our heads that it's not going to be anything like the previous Saints Row games we've seen, then we can, I think, in my opinion, we can start to enjoy this game. If it is an actual good game, we can actually give it a chance and say, well, let's just see what it's like. Let's give it a chance at least. It's different. I've accepted it. Let's see how it is. Some of us are still in the denial stage. Some of us are in the anger. Some of us are in depression, whether it's with Saints Row or not. Some of us are bargaining. Some of us are in acceptance. I'm in acceptance right now. Is this change for the best? Is the direction they've chose to go for the best? We'll find out when the game comes out. I can't judge this game too heavily without seeing at least 10 minutes of gameplay. I want to see how the game actually runs before I make solid judgment on the game. If the gameplay sucks, I'll jump on the bandwagon and trash Saints Row, don't get me wrong, but if the gameplay is good, I'm not going to trash this game, and I'm not going to trash it for now because we've seen nothing really. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts. I pretty much know your thoughts, seeing as how people have reacted to this trailer, but it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on Saints Row the reboot. What do you guys think? Follow me on Twitter. I never plug my Twitter, that's because I never use it. But follow me on Twitter, subscribe if you want. I don't care. And I'm out. Right, I'll just go, right? Bye.